Welcome to our second hangout for the Google business community. I'm Jen from the Google marketing team, and I'm with Shankar Desai, who'll be talking to you today about search trends. So, Shankar, thank you for joining us. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hello. As you mentioned, my name is Shankar Desai. I'm a business development manager here at Google, which means that I partner with agencies in order to help them meet and exceed their clients' goals. And so one of the things that we really work with them on as a team is educating them. And Google Trends is kind of an amazing tool that they use that helps them work with their clients.
That's great. Before we dive into the tool, we usually have an initiation question for all our new guests on the Google Business Community Hangout. So Our question for you today is, if you could have a hangout with anyone in the world, who would it be?
Probably 50 Cent.
50 Cent. All right, and if you could ask him any question, any embarrassing question, what would that be?
Probably what it's like to be shot 9 times.
That's a very interesting question.
Yep. I mean, it's kind of crazy that he can live to tell that tale. And I probably chose 50 Cent because I just heard his song.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Shankar. So let's start talking about the Google Search Trends tool. Okay. So what is your favorite part about this tool?
There are a lot of things that I really like about this tool. It's really powerful. I think what's interesting is that it's a really popular tool, so a lot of people tend to know about Google Trends, but I think it's still really underrated and underutilized. People tend to think of it as a tool that enables them to understand what people are searching for, but it's actually a lot more than that, because if you think about search as a proxy for consumer interest, I think it opens up a lot in terms of the data and information that it's giving you. And it helps you understand, if you're a business or a brand, how popular your brand is, whether or not you're increasing in brand awareness over time, how you're doing relative to your competitors. So there's a lot there when you think about the information that it's giving you. Yeah, actually, why don't we demo it and give it a little drive?
Yeah, that sounds great.
So what you'll do is you'll go to Google Trends, and it's the first result here. So Jen, why don't you give me a brand that comes to mind?
Okay. Well, I enjoy running, so how about Adidas?
Perfect.
Shoes.
Let's start with Adidas. Okay, so the first thing you're presented with is basically a list of search queries over time, and basically the volume of search queries over time, and it's indexed, where the highest number of queries is at the top and the lowest number is at the bottom. And so why don't we start first by saying, let's just look at the US. So you'll click over here, click down to United States. Ooh. There you go. And then let's look at just 2013. So I think what's interesting is you see certain times of the year there were just large increases in search interest and basically consumer interest in the Adidas brand, and then other times that were a little low. If you work for Adidas, there might be reasons, there might not be reasons. I think it's interesting. I mean, if Adidas is predominantly a summer shoe, if most of their sneakers are for the summer, it's interesting that search query volume is low and basically consumer interest is low during that time. Maybe they did a big marketing push, later on in the year, and that's why it's high there. I think. So what's interesting now is you can then say, okay, how is Adidas doing compared to some of its competitors? And so first ones that come to my mind are probably Nike and Reebok. So let's just see and take a look at how Adidas is doing compared to those two.
And so what this tool is doing, just to clarify, is that it's taking in information from anyone who searches on Google and tracks how many people search for Adidas or Nike or Reebok?
Exactly. That's exactly what it's doing. It's saying it's pooling all the queries around that term and indexing them and showing how the volume of queries have changed over time.
Okay.
So you can see relative to either earlier in the year or to other brands, in this example, how you're doing.
Okay.
So I think what's really interesting here is if you're Adidas, right, compared to Reebok, there are a lot more people who are searching for you, which basically means that there are a lot more people who are interested in your brand. And so you're doing well compared to Reebok. But if you look at it compared to Nike, you know, you have a lot of market share to really claim. And I think we probably know this. I mean, Nike seems like a bigger brand than Adidas. I know if there's some big Adidas fans out there, apologies. But I think what it says to Adidas is that there's a real opportunity for growth to claim more market share and to kind of be more in the minds of people like yourself who are runners and need sneakers. The other part of Google Trends that I want to show you that can help you is as a brand is, so let's just focus on Adidas again. And let's actually look at how Adidas has done over time. So not just in 2013. And so you'll go to the left here, click on time ranges. So 2013 is selected. And then you can start to compare year over year how you're doing. So let's just look at the last 3 years, right? And so, you know, what you can see here actually is, and if you can just look at the average, so there were more queries, and I think a reflection of more consumer interest in 2012 than there was in 2011, but also than compared to 2013. And so, again, if you work for Adidas and you're the CMO at Adidas, I think what you're thinking about is, okay, how, you know, is that good? Did we do a lot of marketing and actually didn't see a rise in consumer interest? You know, is there a specific reason why one year is lower or higher than the next? And you can start to get an understanding of where you are relative to year over year in terms of people's interest in your brand.
Great. And how can we use this tool, you know, when we want to look at holidays? You know, do search trends differ around the holidays? So
another great question. So holidays, I think, you know, there are a couple common things that happen with holidays, and I think probably most small businesses are aware of the first number of these. So, you know, gifting happens predominantly in holidays, right? Consumers are looking for sales during holidays. I think the other big thing is holidays often happen during certain times of the year, and so what that generally means is they're affected by seasonality. So during the summer, if you're looking for something around a holiday, it's maybe more geared towards a barbecue because you're throwing an event versus in the winter. But I think the biggest maybe insight that I've seen in terms of holidays is they're an amazing opportunity for businesses to be in front of new people and new customers, because during holidays people are really undecided about the things that they're looking for to buy for other people, right? So you take Mother's Day as an example, right? And people are looking for flowers, right? But they haven't yet decided who they're going to buy their flowers from. And so I think what ends up happening is you can use holidays as a way to start marketing to people who are looking for your things who wouldn't normally be looking for the items that you're selling because they're looking for it as a gift for someone special. So let's actually, we're in front of this tool, so let's actually use and see let's give it a go.
That'd be great.
So let's just do Mother's Day. We'll start with that. And let's just do last year.
So this is really great for not just businesses that sell flowers, but really anyone who thinks that their product is something that would be good for Mother's Day, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I want to say, you know, right now we're focused on Mother's Day and we'll look at flowers, but this tool can be used for, any holiday, any business vertical, but, you know, even beyond holidays, if you're doing one type of marketing campaign and want to see if it actually has helped you raise consumer interest, right, you can use this tool as well to see what times during the year, you know, your products are top of mind for users. And I think we'll get into another example actually, because you just reminded me of something that I think is pretty cool. But so we're looking at Mother's Day. Unsurprisingly, right, the searches for Mother's Day and people's interest in Mother's Day peaks, you know, during that week from May 5th to May 11th, because that's when Mother's Day is. Let's look at flowers. Flowers tends to be a pretty popular Mother's Day gift, right? And so I think that's really insightful right there, right? Is people are searching for Mother's Day, right? When people are searching for Mother's Day, there's a high correlation between that search and when they're searching for flowers, right? So
that's interesting. So there's a blue line, that's the Mother's Day line,
exactly.
right? And then the red line is flowers.
Yep, the search for flowers.
Oh yeah, it directly correlates, right?
Right.
This looks like a great tool. So if I'm, a business in a small town, in California, would this tool still be applicable to me?
Absolutely. So one of the things you'll see on the left-hand side over here is if you click locations, and let's add a term. Let's do Thanksgiving. And then you'll click on the United States there, and you can see you can actually even go further than the state level. And pick different DMAs within a state. But let's actually just pick the state, because I think what's interesting is when you scroll down to regional interest, you can basically see that there's different interest, a different level of interest in different places across the state. So if you happen to have a store in San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose area around Thanksgiving, you know that there's a high demand for Thanksgiving-oriented searches. So definitely make sure that you put marketing dollars in that area, and to take advantage of the fact that there is demand.
Great. So how do businesses prepare, in advance for these holidays?
Really good question. So I think the keyword there is prepare. I think that businesses have to prepare, right? They have to know that, in order to execute well on a specific holiday, preparation for that holiday and executing on that holiday or for that holiday starts, weeks, if not months before. I mean, it depends on what your promotional calendar is, but you want to have a plan going into the holiday and the pre-holiday time. So for me, when I think about that, that really means, if what's the goal of your campaign during this holiday? Is it to gain new customers? Is it to actually just convert your existing customers? Because once you define your goals, then you can create a plan behind those goals. I think also what's really important is to understand that how people are behaving, because we live in a day and age where now people are using their phone, their tablets, their desktop computers, watching TV. They have many different devices and screens from which they're getting information. So making sure that you are have a plan that executes against those different devices and the different ways that people are consuming media.
Great. And, speaking of Mother's Day, that's coming up really soon. What advice do you have for businesses that might not, have prepared in advance?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think because Mother's Day is only coming up in a couple of days, what I would say in one word is mobile. People are on their phones all the time. And if you look at the stats from last year with respect to Mother's Day, 25% of all traffic to websites in the week leading up to Mother's Day was on a mobile device, which was a 43% year-over-year growth. And so if you're using AdWords, a platform like AdWords, very tactically, I would say make sure that you have click-to-call mobile extensions and location extensions enabled, because that lets people call and find your location and walk to you.
And along those lines, do you have advice for businesses, not to do anything?
Really good question. The only thing I would say around that is, inaction. Like, the one thing you shouldn't be doing is not doing anything, because I think we've talked about it already. Holidays are a major opportunity for you to reach new customers, to bring new people through the door, because people are in the discovery mindset. And so you really want to take advantage of that, especially if you're a growing business. So I think really not having a plan is the one thing you shouldn't do, and figuring out how best to execute against that plan.
Great. Well, thank you, Shankar. I think this tool and your explanation is super useful. I think if you guys have any questions, Shankar will be in the community to answer them following this hangout. So thank you, Shankar.
Awesome.
And thank you guys for joining in. We'll see you soon.